This week, we're going to talk about the many World Championships teams that have been announced. We're going to preview the U.S. World Team Trials. We have Sho Nakamori here, gymnast brevet judge, to talk about the men's code changes and his experience with being a brevet judge, previewing more of what we're going to see at the World Championships. It is September 23rd, 2025, and welcome to the number one gymnastics podcast in the galaxy. I'm here with Spencer from the balance beam situation, of course. And later on, we will have an interview with Sho Nakamori. Let's begin with the headlines, Spencer, which is USAG has announced their location for the training facility that they have worked on.
I think you mean training and wellness center.
Don't forget wellness.
Don't forget, if Li Lung has one legacy, it is making sure that wellness is included in every sentence.
That is very true. And this has been her mission to get this done before she leaves the organization in December. So no surprise here. It will be in Indiana, where the current USAG headquarters are. So it will be Noblesville, Indiana. And we will go into the details about this later. But she did say she wanted to find a place before she finished. And so she has found a place.
And this is conceptually very positive. Like, obviously, I'm going to make fun of it and have some criticisms about the location, but conceptually having a central location that has hopefully all of the equipment, all of the medical support that athletes would need for all of the disciplines, I think is a positive development for the sport, and instead of being the Wild West and we're having camp over here and we're doing this and what do you do? So it's a good direction.
Okay. The other thing that happened this weekend is not a big surprise. The Sports Illustrated women's games have been postponed.
Breaking news from journalistic source called Gymnastics, which I've never heard of, but apparently they break the news all the time. And breaking news, Sports Illustrated games, which were slated to be a gymnastics showcase with some of the events in Southern California, scheduled for Halloween, and other sports, but we're focusing on it for gymnastics. They are now postponing that to TBD.
Yeah. And if you've listened to Gymnastics, this was no surprise to you because I have gone over the whole history of the promoter. The hilarious thing about this is that there's some kind of rumor going around that I was helping recruit athletes for this. And if you know anything about the Aurora Games and the coverage that I did of it subsequently too, I would never, ever work with Jerry Solomon again if you paid me and if I was the last person on earth. So that is not true, but that's cute. Definitely not Gymnastics listeners who started that rumor. But yeah, this is now officially confirmed by Sports Illustrated after we broke the news. And on their website, it says, after careful consideration, the SI women's game has made the decision to postpone this year's event, which has been scheduled for, it was end of October. And it says, if you'd like to hold on to your tickets, there's nothing you need to do, and they're still valid for a rescheduled date. If you prefer a refund, you have 30 days after receiving your postponed notice to request a refund from the point of purchase. So ask for your refund now. Is you do it immediately, because if this never happens, they're saying you can't get your money back. So in exciting news, there are tickets.
If you're getting a refund for your tickets from that, you might want to put that toward the 2026 World Championships in Rotterdam, which have announced that their tickets are going on sale October 17th.
Yay.
Of this
I'm very
year.
excited.
The year before the event.
Right. Not the month before, the year before. Yes. They're very organized, those Dutch. We have some world team news, which I'm super excited about.
A lot. Okay. British team for the women, Ruby Evans, Abby Martin, Alia Leat, and Shantae-Eve Mankwa. They also noted, that's the four-member team, they noted in their team announcement, Jessica Gadarova was originally selected for the team. However, a recent injury setback resulted in her withdrawal. So once again, Worlds is canceled. I think we've established that. Oh, poor Jessica Gadarova.
I know.
It's been such a road.
I know, but it's good. That they're being very careful now. Is what we want to see, because she said she was going to wait a whole year to come back because she wants a long career in gymnastics. So look at Becky Downey and Chuso. Take your time, come back slowly. We have, if you listened to Behind the Scenes last week, I put up the teaser of Behind the Scenes where we talked about the Chinese teams that have been selected. So that is out. And if you look in your feed, we have a discussion about the Chinese teams because I'm very excited. And it's exactly the team I would have chosen. It's perfect. China, China, China. That's what you
The other thing I will say about the British team, if you don't know the name Shantae-Eve Amankwa, because she's kind of a surprise on this team for me, and she's pretty new. When you watch her floor, you will be like, get her to NCAA gymnastics right this second. And if she wants to, convince her. But just like right this moment, recruit everyone to recruit her. Do it.
Immediately. If you have not done it yet. Yes.
If she's willing to come to the United States, and
Yeah. Let's hope. The other team that we should discuss is Team France. So they just had their big World Cup in Paris. We talked about that. It was last week's show. So let's look at this team and who they have chosen for this. Not a ton of surprises, I think, in here. We have some veterans on this team, which you would expect. And we have some of the up-and-coming gymnasts, like their super bars worker.
Yeah, it's the ones who starred at the Paris World Cup for the women. So they have Laurette Charpy and Celia Serber, who we expect to do the all-around Ming van Eijken, and Morgana Osyssex, who has a layout full on beam. So we expect to see beam from her. And hopefully she will hit in qualification and then make the final. And we might have, potentially multiple layout fulls on beam in the World Championships final.
Yes.
But, beam is beam.
We have more nominative rosters for Worlds.
Yeah, so every country has to submit, has to, in quotes, this year, submit their nominative roster by a certain date. They can change it. Like the US submits a placeholder roster because they haven't had their selection camp yet, which we'll talk about in a second. But we can see some teams will end up being their official ones. What I want to say, because Canada's nominative roster only has 2 women on it, Canada, no. You are not some little program who can barely scrape together your 2 elites to send to Worlds. If you are not using all of the spots, we are taking away the moniker of Australian Gymnastics Jail and changing it to Canadian Gymnastics Jail. I want to see 4 Canadians. Minimum. I want to see 20 Canadians.
And if they only send 2 gymnasts,
the nominative roster is their 2 strongest gymnasts, Leah Monica Fontaine and Gabrielle Black, who we enjoyed both of them at Pan Ams this year. But you have others.
And if we know anything about Worlds, you never know what's going to happen. It could be an all not favorites beam final, or anything can happen. So like only sending 2 people. Oh my God. All right. I can't even think about it.
It's nominative. We're just going to, for right now, we're just going to tell ourselves it's nominative.
Yes.
Because like Brazil didn't even submit anybody yet.
Right. They're like, we're Brazil, you'll wait for us.
Right. But this is the thing. I'm like, does this mean you're not sending anyone? Because yes, the nominative roster is just a placeholder. You just have to send in some names and you can change them later, and that's fine. But there is a fine for a late nominative entry, which is not
Brazil.
It's like, $1,200. I'm like, you could just submit it and not have to pay Okay. Yeah, anyway, we'll see.
Brazil are big time now. They're like $1,200.
They're like, yeah. Mm-hmm.
We send whole teams to every single World Cup. We're fine. So Russia, who are
Spencer's having our annual documentation freak out. That's what this section should be called. Spencer's documentation freak out. Where's Kensley? I need to text Kensley and have a documentation freak out.
What are they doing? They owe so much money.
But the standards, the provisions, Article 8.2 said.
Which, you guys, Kensley will be doing her previews at Neutral Deduction, so you can find out all the things in a slow, measured Kensley voice of not freaking out too much. So
unless the selection procedures are written incorrectly, and then all bets are off.
Which obviously they will. So Russia, who they're not called Russia, they're called the independent athletes who live in Russia.
Yeah. So interesting. They have an asterisk next to them right now saying names are to be confirmed subject to pending AIN application. So there are some men that they intend to send who have not yet been officially approved on the neutral athletes list. So I think they're just an asterisk right now. An additional asterisk, a neutral asterisk, and then we haven't submitted the team yet asterisk. But,
That's some pressure. too. Good thing it's supposed to be a totally separate organization who vets the athletes, but also I don't understand anything short of literally being in the army that you can, and like being actually fighting in Ukraine that can get you banned at this point from competing if you're from Russia. But that's just my personal opinion about it. Okay, so favorite routines of all time this week? Was there anything exciting you watched?
My favorite routine of all time this week is from the Austria-Switzerland friendly meet that happened over the weekend, because Charlize Moerz of Austria scored a 13.833 on floor, double lay full, huge double layout, big tumbling, got some, dance credit, also fell out of a turn, but got some hefty dance credit to bump up that D score. It was very strong. And I feel like if she were from a bigger program, we would be talking about her as a medal contender at Worlds this year with this routine. Because as we've talked about and we'll talk about, I think floor is pretty wide open for medals this year. And a lot of people could get in there, and a 13.833 is a compelling score to put up a month before Worlds. So that's one that's my favorite routine of all time this week. I'm putting it in. That double lay is so high.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I could watch her all day. I'm a big fan. I just can't wait for podium training in Jakarta. I'm so exciting. You know how I love podium training. I like to see all the things. This is why I'm like, why everyone has to go to the prelims days, the qualifying days at Worlds, because you see everyone. You see all the things that go on. I think it's so exciting. Mm-hmm. Speaking of Jakarta, we are going to talk about the women's Jakarta World Team trials that are happening this weekend. We'll tell you how to watch. But first, let's tell you what we have coming up next month from Jakarta, the country of Indonesia.
This very next month at the World Championships of Gymnastics, we're going to have 8 days of live podcasts from Jakarta, meaning Jessica will be in Jakarta and I will be safely at home. Club members, if you are a member of Club Gym Nerd, you get extended coverage and can join us live to ask questions when we talk about things immediately after the meet. If you have burning questions, you are also eligible. You can enter to win a full commission. We are doing a fundraiser for World Championships. We are raffling away a full commissioned episode. Raffle tickets are $10. This is open now until October 7th. We're going to draw the winner at our first podcast at Worlds. So if you are the winner, if you win a full commission, you get your own entire podcast episode on anything gymnastics related that you possibly could ever want us to talk about. Your deepest dreams of what we would talk about, you may make them come true. And there are going to be other prizes available as well. So you can enter the raffle and help us, go to Indonesia to get all the podium training videos and the stories, the questions only Jessica would ask.
Yes, exactly. And if you're not subscribed to our YouTube or Instagram or all the socials, make sure you do that, because that's where the extended interviews will all be up on the YouTube. So you don't want to miss anything, because we do put out sometimes over 200 interviews and videos during World. So it's absolutely the most. So the other thing that's happening is we have two amazing listeners, Rhonda and her dad, who have donated 10 annual memberships. So if you want all the extended coverage from Worlds, all the once a week, we do a whole extra podcast called Behind the Scenes, which is Fridays at noon or immediately after a competition. And you get all that and a bunch of discounts on merch and early dibs on live show tickets and discounts on live show tickets. And they have donated 10 of these. So all you have to do is go to our forum. It's under Show Stuff, Gymnastics Scholarship, and you fill out the form. We will keep it all private. No one's going to know that you applied for this. This is just open. Rhonda is she wrote a letter about, she hasn't always been, finances aren't easy for her. And now, thanks to the generosity of her dad and family circumstances, that now she is able to give back, and she really wants to, because she's loved our content for all these years. So this is the most beautiful community thing ever, and it makes me so happy. So if you want to donate a scholarship like this, like Rhonda and her dad have, you can email editor@gymcasting.com. And you can also do this, which actually we do have a sponsor who's already doing this. So we already have another scholarship coming. So anyway, just fill out the form and it's yours. One of the 10. So thank you so much, Rhonda and her dad. Let us discuss the US World Trials. So,
yes, it's happening. So the U.S. women will be selecting their 4-woman squad for the World Championships, which are in, once again, Jakarta, October 19th to 25th, World Championships this year. So it's an individual World Championships, no team competition, not selecting a team for a team score. You're selecting 4 individuals. 3 of the 4 team members can compete on any event, in any single event in qualification, to try to qualify to individual finals. So not everyone's going to be able to compete every event, and that is significant when it comes to team selection and how you put together a team that can be best poised to win the most possible medals while not just, sending everyone to do the all around. So what's happening? The selection camp will be, as we record this, next week. First day is Tuesday, September 30th, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. Everyone's competing the all around. Day 2, Wednesday, October 1st, 11 a.m. Eastern. Gymnasts will compete select events in conversation with what the selection committee wants to see, what they want to show, their coaches want to show, but no more than 3 events. So you're not doing the all around. The U.S. Women's Worlds Trials Selection Camp is streaming. You can watch it live on Flip Now, which is USAG's paid subscription service. Let's talk about the field. 10 total gymnasts at Worlds Trials. 11 were originally invited. Tiana Sumana-Sakura withdrew before. So there'll be 10 people at Trials. 4 will end up being named as part of the World Championships team. That's 1 day 1 all-around winner who automatically makes the team, regardless of who she is, automatically on the team. And then 3 additional team members named by the committee. 2 non-traveling alternates also named by the committee. And then the remaining 4 people, we have some lovely t-shirts for you. Some lovely parting gifts. Here's a flight home. You didn't make the team. That's what will happen to the 10 people.
Also, the selection committee is Alicia Sacramone, who's part of the Trident. There's Betty Aquino, also part of the Trident, and then Jessie DeZiel. And it's always funny. Like, I hear so many people complaining about like college coaches who are also brevet judges. Jessie DeZiel is a college coach too, and she's picking the team. I'm just saying, like,
if you'd like more things to complain about, you have this as well.
Keep your complaints consistent, is all I'm saying. Like, don't leave anybody out. If you have conflict of interest concerns, like, please. Okay. So there are only, how many medals can you win at this? You can win a so there's gold, silver,
all around medals, and all 4 events for the win.
Right.
2 per country. So apparently I just went through puberty when I said 2 per country. But
that's how traumatic it is.
You guys have been waiting. So 2, you could win 2 medals in the all around, 2 on vault, 2 on bars, 2 on beam, 2 on floor, potentially.
Yeah. That's all the medals, but they're all medals.
Let's break down the 10 gymnasts competing at the U.S. Worlds Trials /selection camp, starting with the core 4 gold medalists, because 4 of the 10 people have won world or Olympic team medals on a U.S. team previously. 1 of the 10 has an individual world medal. That's Leanne Wong, has a world all-around silver. But we have 4 people who are, I guess, team resume, the people who have the prior accomplishments that they have been on teams before. So starting with Hesley Rivera, 2004 Olympic team, gold medalist, also now the 2025 national all-around champion. She would be on the team as an all-arounder. If you're saying that your basic setup for a world's team, like your basic, very broad template for an individual 4-person world's team would be 2 all-arounders and then a vault and floor gymnast and a bars and beam gymnast. It usually doesn't work out that cleanly, but if you can put 3 people on each event, you would have 2 on every event, and then a vault and floor and a bars and beam. And then you kind of work from there depending on who's available. But her role in the team would be as an all-arounder, all-around national champion. So they don't have to select the all-around national champion. That's not a requirement in any of the selection procedures. This camp is the selection competition, the final one where things are decided. But she's the national all-around champion. In the modern era, the national all-around champion has always made the world's team when healthy and age eligible. So 2022, Connor McLean, 2002, Tasha Schweikert were injured. And then there was that time Vanessa Atler won the national championship, but she was too young, so she wasn't able to compete at Worlds. But anyone who's tried, gone through the selection, and been healthy as the national champion has made the world's team.
So, but if she doesn't win the first day, she isn't automatically on the team. But I would say as long as she has 2 good events, unless she's hurt and they know she's hurt, they're going to put her on the team because they're going to have the confidence that she did it she put it together at championships. She's going to be able to put it together in Jakarta. So I think she's a very, 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 very good shot. Yep. Even if she doesn't win on the first day and got the one automatic spot. The first day of trials. I agree. Leanne Wong. Let's discuss.
The most medal accomplished member of the selection pool this year. 2002 and 2003 world team gold medalist. 2022 and 2023 world team gold medalist. Those are years. 2021 world all-around silver medalist. Big deal that she at the national championship this year, second in the all-around. That's a good argument for, hey, if you're taking 2 all-arounders, I was second in the all-around at nationals, and pulling out a very strong Chung on vault. Her 2 vaults made her the world vault leader. So she also has that argument now that I have the all-around and you would take me for vault. If you're looking for potential vault medals, I'm the world leader on vault this year. That's a strong case.
Beating Carla Nava. And that was, she took over the lead. She is the number 1 vault in the world right now. Like that's a very big deal. And that held up with the Paris World Cup, which was really like everyone sending here's our warm up for Worlds. But we have Sambate this weekend. So
also
this weekend,
Italian nationals.
Oh, so excited. So excited. Yeah, so Leanne Wong got a good chance.
Also in the core 4 gold medalists, Sky Blakely, also 2022, 2023 world team gold medalist, 2024 national championships all-around silver, and then something happened that we don't talk about anymore. There was an injury. NBC is like, we're going to show it 10 more times, but there was an injury. I've decided to memory hole that one. It didn't happen. It's not real.
When she was like, there's this 2 people that were for sure going to be on the team, and then both of them tore.
Well, there were more than 2. I mean,
there was 3, but I'm just saying
for sure going to be on the.
Well, no. I mean, just the ones that got hurt, 2 were 100% for sure going to be on the team, the Olympic team, and then ligaments and tendons.
So Sky Blakely is competing bars and beam. She did bars and beam at U.S. Nationals. Very strong showings on both events on day 2 at U.S. Nationals. So that would cleanly fit in as I'm your bars and beam gymnast for Worlds. Highest scoring potential on beam, certainly, of the people at U.S. camp. I think if everyone hits their perfect beam routine, Sky Blakely would win beam by several tenths.
Yeah.
And then let's talk about Joss Roberson, 2023 world team gold medalist, would then complement Sky Blakely well on individual events because Roberson's strongest are vault and floor. Not to discount beam, Olympic trials beam champion Joss Roberson, but I think her strongest international events internationally are vault and floor. So then Sky Blakely would be a bars and beam gymnast. Joss Roberson would be a vault and floor gymnast. It fits too perfectly. Like it fits so nicely into a potential 4-person individual Worlds team. So that's what I'm looking at.
When you mention this about who's fitting into those slots, remind people about the format and how many people from each team, even though there's no team competition, can compete on each event.
So it's three of the 4 on each event per country. Yep. So 1 person on your 4 cannot compete on each event. So if that's the core 4 gold medalists are the US team, it's pretty clean. You'd have a conversation about who's not doing beam, I think, but it's pretty clean in terms of who's not doing which events. If you look at some other countries, I think it's harder. Potentially the neutral Russia team would have some, I think that would be a very difficult decision to make as to who would like not do bars on that team. Mm-hmm. But I think this would be, if this were the team, that would be a clean decision.
Okay, so you've already decided this is the
team. I've already decided this team. I would say after nationals, that's the in pencil team. That's the team you would have selected from the national championship. The caveat being that team is still very much based on assumptions that need to be fulfilled. Sky Blakely has hit bars and beam at a world championship level once this year, the second day of nationals. Leanne Wong has hit that Chung once this year on the second day of nationals. Joss Roberson, as a potential vault specialist, has not competed that Chung. You saw her do it in warm-ups at nationals, and you claimed it's ready.
It's there.
It's there. It's ready.
It's there. It
but
was
she hasn't competed it.
Yeah, it was hey, you guys, just like waving. I'm gonna, just so you know, I'll do this at camp. So ready to watch me do this Chung on vault? Here I go.
Yeah, because then her ankle was a little questionable. She decided not to do it in competition the second day. But we haven't seen, it hasn't been scored. We haven't seen it in a competitive setting yet. So there are still a lot of assumptions. That is a very on paper, makes a lot of sense team. They still have to earn it. Like, it still has to also be like actually go at the selection competition. Things have to go to plan.
Yes. And my biggest thing, you know what I'm going to say is like, okay, so what would happen if that's not the team? Because we know that we have Simone Roses and Jayla Hangs and Claire Peases, who's, you know, we have some vaults from the Pacific Rain girls that they have in their back pockets, and they have been showing double twisting Yurchenkos and a potential Chung, and there's an Amanar that I don't know if ever's actually going to be competed, but it's definitely being like landed fine. So I'm just asking you, now that I've laid out my arguments, if they don't hit, who are you looking at?
Okay, a couple things could happen to disrupt the core four in my mind right now. One, biggest one, someone else gets the automatic spot, because whoever wins the all-around on day one is automatically on the team. And if we cast our mind way, way back to before the U.S. Nationals of this year, we were talking about, is the all-around champion going to be Hesley Rivera or Jayla Hang? Jayla ended up not having a great nationals, was not at 100%. At Classic, she only did 2 events. She ended up taking out some difficulty, having some falls, didn't place that well in the all-around. But if we look at where she was heading into nationals, her Pan Am's performance was very, very strong. Lots of medals, high all-around scores. She has the capability to win the all-around on day one. And I think if you are on Team Root for Chaos, if just for instance, if that's your, the things you're saying to yourself before selection camp, if you are on Team Root for Chaos, Jayla Hang winning the all-around on day one would be the best thing that could ever happen to you, because it would blow up all of the expectations of how you're putting together a team and all that lovely, the pieces fit and the vault and floor and the bars and beam. It's all blown up. You've knocked over all of those pieces. All the dominoes are on the ground, and you have to start over. And so that would be very interesting. And it's very possible because she has the scoring potential. She has the ability.
Yep. We know that she has at camp, which would be the same judges, gotten the highest all score. So it is totally possible, but she has to be healthy, which I think it's very smart of her and her coaches and, medical team to be like, there's no reason to rush. What you've been doing all these competitions and you did them so successfully. You just have to be at your best at the selection camp and then peak at Worlds. So it's smart pacing, because she's the kind of gymnast that doesn't have to be at 100% and is still going to make it to the world team selection. So be healthy, compete her full routine difficulty on day one, because she absolutely could win day one, and she absolutely could get that day one automatic. You win the all around, you're on the team. So go for everything, hit the way we know that you can, and you will have that spot, which would be so exciting. And we love a drama upset. I also want everyone to be on all the spots. Okay, but the other person, Claire Pease, who we know is also capable, but was really inconsistent at championships.
Yes, but classic all-around winner. When she hits those routines, she was on day one at nationals when she hit beam, she was second on beam. So when she hits those routines, she's right up there and is very believable for a team. I think that if Sky Blakely had decided to take a pass this year on Elite and be like, LA 2028 is the goal, see you later, I think we'd be talking about Claire Pease in a lot stronger position for the Worlds team. I think that kind of maybe bumped her down the list a little bit, but she can get there. It doesn't take a lot of weird things to happen to change these all-around standings, because there is not a Simone who is winning by multiple points and can show up and all right, if she falls on beam, she's still going to win the all-around to get the automatic spot. There's not someone who can have a missed day and still get the automatic spot. And that opens it up to a lot of people.
Yep. I just feel like she needs to be confident, because when she's confident and not, like, I feel like she can, obviously, shocker, you guys. The general, I feel like, gist of the personality that does well in elite gymnastics is someone that's like very intense and type A and wants to be the best.
Yeah.
So she just has to be like, I'm really good at this. I can do it. I don't have to like be so hard on myself and put so much pressure on myself. But I would say also she needs to streamline her skill selection, because less is more in elite. So make sure she is just doing the things that she needs to get the least amount of deductions and highlight those things. And there was a lot of this that I was worried about at Worlds. I was like, so the judges are going to have a conference with all the athletes at camp, right? And they're going to tell them before for the World Selection Camp, like, okay, you're doing too many skills, take these things out. Because once you get past the championships, like in other countries, the judges are part of the national team staff, and they help with the routine construction. And they are the ones that will go, and the athletes can go up to them and be like, hey, what am I getting the deductions on? Which happens at our camps. But I feel like there needs to be a sit down analysis with the athlete. There's a meeting and be like, here, consistently every time we judged you.
Have you made a PowerPoint about your D-score?
Every routine should have a presentation, and it says, it's an analysis from these are what the judges are giving you. So can you fix this? Or, are your coaches
gotten series credit for a dance combination for your main intended series on beam every single time you've competed it, and you're still also doing the backup afterward, and you're doing skills that you don't need to be doing. Just for instance, some people.
For instance, if you hit that, here's what it looks like when you hit. Do you know what it feels like when you hit that? Okay, then don't do the other one, because you're just getting deductions for no reason. You don't need a backup if you hit the first one. That's what backups are for. So this is the exact script for the meeting we would like at Worlds.
So if you're a listener to this show, you probably know how Jessica is not so much of a morning person, and how we go to these big meets like the upcoming World Championship, and also there's never anything open, especially during podium training, and we're in the arena all day and there's nowhere to eat, and it's always a thing for all of us. So thankfully, we have Huel to the rescue, spelled Huel. Their Black Edition powder is a complete meal, so you feel full, focused, and ready for your day.
And I love these because I can bring them like pre-made in the bottle, or I can take the powder and I can mix it literally like on the media tribune. So I have food the whole time, and it's really good. It's less than $3 per meal. It's packed with 40 grams of plant-based protein, which is helpful if you get some tummy upset when you have too much dairy, like maybe I do sometimes. So good. And then 27 essential vitamins and minerals, no sugar added. It's gluten-free. I love the taste because I love something that tastes like a shake, and they have salted caramel and chocolate. It's so yummy.
And now Huel has created its first of its kind super greens drink in a can. It's called Huel Daily Greens, ready to drink. Forget powders, forget pills. This is a daily greens, no mixing, no mess. Quick and convenient. That's what I care about the most.
It's sparkling. You know how I feel about sparkling vegetables. Like, that's the thing. I was like, wait, sparkling? It's not just like powder and water? No, it's a sparkling beverage. So yes, maybe my suitcase is going to be full of these when we go to World. So it has flavors like blueberry, apple, peach. They're yummy. 42 vitamins, minerals, and superfoods. Only 25 calories, 4 grams of fiber. You guys, fiber when you travel is no joke. 1 gram of sugar. It's made by dietitians. It's exactly the kind of thing I need when we are in a food and vegetable and fiber desert that are these arenas where Worlds are, and where they're watching podium training for 12 to 16 hours a day for 5 days in a row sometimes, and there's nothing open anywhere near us. So when we go to Worlds, I'm taking both of these. I'm taking the Black Edition, and I'm taking the Super Greens drink in a can. So I have everything together, both.
Together, Huel makes healthy eating simple. Try both today with 15% off your purchase for new customers with our exclusive code Gymcastic at Huel.com/Gymcastic. Use our code and fill out the post-checkout survey to help support the show.
Yes, do the survey, you guys. Thank you so much to Huel, and I'm so excited to take these to Worlds.
Club Gym Nerd. Get discounts and first dibs on live show tickets, and extra podcasts every week, athlete dossiers, code guides, commission your own segments of the show. It also makes a great gift. Check it out at gymcastic.com at the Join the Club tab.
Part 2.
Option 2 of how the team that I presented at the beginning would not be the team would be a viral case of Tom Forsteritis that happens at camp. Because basically, here's how I think of it. I think this group is very willing to put Sky Blakely on a Worlds team with 2 events. They're not locked into, and this is what I think, we'll see, but they're not locked into all-around standings. We're going to pick the all-around standings. These are the all-around standings. But I do think that if Sky Blakely comes into the Worlds camp and isn't undeniable, like maybe falls on beam on one of the 2 days or isn't quite there, then you have a real decision. Because if you're me, I would say the D score, the routine composition, the potential for a medal is enough to put her on a Worlds team, even if she misses beam on the final day of the selection camp. I would look at the overall routine possibilities and say, yeah, you still want that on the Worlds team. I don't know that the selection committee would view it the same way that I do. And if Sky Blakely isn't undeniable, will they just say, well, I mean, that didn't happen, so let's default to the all-around standings? Let's say, okay, well, our potential specialists that we were maybe thinking would be on the team didn't hit. So in the absence of a strong argument, we're just going to, top 4 all around.
Yeah. So the question is, what will this administration Trident do if this happens? Like, that hasn't really happened yet. So are they going to default to the old ways, or will they go with...
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, because they've been very lucky in the last few years that the decisions have been straightforward and non-controversial overall. Like, they've picked the all-around, but it's also like, yeah, that was the highest scoring team, and also obviously.
Right.
Like, the unfortunateness of Charlize Jones and Sky Blakely getting injured in the Olympic trials process is that it made the decision way easier for the selection committee than it would have been otherwise, where they would have had to say, like, maybe we're not picking Jordan Childs for the Olympic team. Maybe we're not picking Jade Carey for the Olympic team. That's what they would have been faced with. They weren't. So they still, in so many ways, get an incomplete about, like, what is your actual philosophy on how you're selecting a team? So if they do revert to all-around standings, I'm thinking, if I'm Ashley Sullivan, I'm like, or Ashley Sullivan.
That wasn't about her. That wasn't about Ashley Sullivan. I love Ashley Sullivan.
It was incidental. It was just funny.
It was about the all-around standing order, because it doesn't make sense if you don't also have the highest scores on each event if you go to those standings.
But I'm saying it could happen. I think that would be good news for Ashley Sullivan, 4th all-around at Nationals.
Yes. If that's repeated at... Yes, it could be good news for her.
Mm-hmm.
Or
if someone who is close on a lot of events, but is she top 2? Like, you would pick her for be your event finalist on an event? Not necessarily, but she's top 10 in the world on floor, just behind other U.S. gymnasts. Like Joss Roberson and Hesley Rivera have scored higher than her, but she gets very high floor scores. She has the composition, the potential on all the events. I think all around, she's like... If you're saying, giving a previous comparison, she's very much the Grace McCallum of this year, where if this was the Tokyo decision, she would be like, I'm getting on the team, I'm placing in the all-around, you're putting me wherever you need me. But is that what's happening this year?
Right. Okay, now I want to talk about the Chung Falls absences. If the Chungs do not show up in Chung, we don't have all Chungs.
Because it's not a given. We have a tendency, myself included, that, okay, I saw Leanne Wong hit a great chung once, therefore she will do it every single time, and it's perfect, and she's on the team, and it's great, and everything's done. It's once. You ideally want to see these things repeated. So, Leanne Wong and Joss Roberson on a Worlds team, those places would be heavily reliant on them having and hitting chungs with their Yurchenko double fulls to then potentially medal on vault. But if not, Are you saying we don't really have vault medal contenders? Are we looking to other events like bars where Simone Rose could very believably win bars at camp? That's not going out on a limb that she would be the bars winner. So then are you saying, if we don't have vaulters, who's our bars gymnast? Simone Rose? Let's go. So I think that's her path.
Yes.
Also all around, because she can score very well on the all around.
Right. That's the thing. If things don't go like perfectly for everybody else, like Simone Rose, and she has upgraded vaults that she's showing too. And like she's putting up her practice videos of them. Like, so like that's the thing with them. I'm just like, they have such a depth of difficulty. And we're like, well, could Jayla Hang and Simone Rose actually whip those out at camp and
This
be like,
is the question.
right.
I've seen too many years of training videos to be like, oh, you have the skill now. I'm like, you don't have the skill until it gets a score.
Right. Yep. But I love being like, now could be the time. Yes. Which obviously you don't just whip out vaults unless you know you're going to be healthy and safe with them. Which is why we see like the way that Leanne warms up compared to like when she was younger. It's like you warm up rolling out of everything until you actually have to show that you stick it once, because ankles, you need to make it through the whole competition. So don't be bothering trying to stick anything until you absolutely have to. Speaking of which, injuries.
Yeah. The other potential problem, you gather 10 elite gymnasts for a weekend of high stakes competition. How often do all 10 come out of it feeling good is the reality. So they have 10 gymnasts here. I feel like that's the bare minimum number you want if you're selecting 4 people for a team and 2 non-traveling alternates. You need other people there. You need a Gabrielle Hardy out there, who I feel like is probably behind the others in terms of chances scoring potential, but she has absolutely an E-score case because her gymnastics is very clean, and a floor case. I could very believably see her come in with a D score a lot lower than some other contenders and then actually score top 2 on floor because she went through cleanly. I think that's really believable for her.
E-score. I mean, you guys, Gabrielle Hardy.
She's an E-score champion.
So gorgeous. Yes, literally like E-score champion. Like sometimes
if this were a camp for picking the 1992 Olympic team, Gabrielle Hardy's on my team.
Yes, so gorgeous. And Dulcie Kaler also, like, beautiful form, can do such gorgeous gymnastics. So I'm also interested to see what she does, because you never know what her coaches who are very good at strategizing about how to maximize on the things that are other people don't think of, and how to use the code to the advantage of the gymnast, what they will be potentially changing using for her routines or have perfected. So because this is very exciting and we're going to get to watch it on the Flip TV, we're going to do a post second day watch on October 1st at 10 a.m. Pacific.
So that'll be after day 2 of competition. When people are doing the select events, we'll have watched the 2 days. Then we're going to come on and be like, here's why the team that Spencer presented is definitely going to be the Worlds team is not at all close. And none of them are on the team. And then Jessica will write it on a whiteboard and talk about it for 10 years.
And I'll be like, I only care about the people that scored highest on each event, and that should be the team, and I don't care about anything else. Yeah, so 10 a.m. October, that's Pacific, October 1st, we'll do a behind the scenes talking about it. And then on Friday, when we do our big behind the scenes, then we can talk about the team that is selected.
We'll definitely know the team, and we can break it down.
Go into and answer all your questions. So get ready to send your questions and put them in the forum, gymnastic@gmail.com. And so, yeah, there's going to be so much to talk about. It's World Championships coming up. I'm so excited. Okay, so let us discuss the Gymternet news and some of the things that have happened. So, just so you guys know, we did have questions about for Jakarta. We had some listeners who have bought the VIP tickets, but they didn't know what was included, and it doesn't really say what's included on the website. So I did reach out to Jakarta and I asked them what's included in the package, and I told them that you guys had already bought the tickets, but we're kind of confused about what was included. So haven't heard back yet, but they are very responsive. So they do get back to us very quickly. Ooh. Like sometimes it's like, a couple hours later, we get an email back from them. So hopefully I'll have an answer for you guys soon. Also, okay, let's talk about USAG's headquarters. So project that Lily's working on, Nobleville has been selected. So it's going to be the USAG headquarters, and then it's going to be the training and Wellness Center and office headquarters. So it's about 20 miles north of the current location in downtown Indy. They're going to launch a fundraising campaign to support the construction of this training and wellness center, which is a little concerning. Fundraising campaign. Yeah. I would hope the funding was already in place, but this is going to be probably the hardest 10 years to raise money. I'm thinking ahead for 10 years, Spencer. I'm like, yeah, the U.S. economy is not going great right now, but it is an Olympic year and companies like to, or Olympic quad in the home country of the U.S. So they have said that the campaign will determine the scope of development of the project, which will bring together the sport of gymnastics from youth development through national team camps. And so there's a lot of companies that like to get on the ground floor of that. And also remember, this is for everybody. This is for all disciplines. So this is parkour, trampoline, artistic, rhythmic. All of those are going to be under the same roof. And they're going to have also things like, besides just national team camps, they're going to have educational workshops, community outreach events, competitions throughout the year for all disciplines. They have a place they can have their meets. So acrobatic, gymnastics for all. Oh my God, you guys, we could go compete in the adult gymnastics competition. Except gymnastics for all sometimes is like, group floor routines, which I'm like, I mean, it can be fun. I was like, how could we make it subversive with a political message and do it in
the adult gymnastics community, I think, would be on board with you.
Yes, you guys. We could get queer flips from their team from NYC. We get NEIGC all together. Yeah. So anywho, you guys, I've already have plans, but yeah, there'll be more details on the project coming out, but the goal of breaking ground for the spring of 2026 and completion of the project in 2028. So that's
just also the Olympic year.
Right. Which is a good time to be like, hey, we have this place, invest in us. So it's also part of the state of Indiana's 2050 campaign to make Indiana the women's sports capital of the world.
So in unrelated news, India has a near total abortion ban. And according to the Institute...
Indiana, not the...
India? Did I say India?
Don't bring India into this.
India,
okay?
Sorry.
Indiana, yes.
In other news, Indiana has enacted a near total abortion ban. According to the Institute for Women's Policy Research, which is a nonprofit, nonpartisan research organization focused on policy issues affecting women, as a state, including DC, Indiana ranks 42nd in reproductive rights, 43rd for employment and earnings for women, and dead last 51st for work and family, which includes paid leave, gender participation gap, and childcare, etc. The women's sports capital of the world.
Now, to give USAG some credit, they did institute a study on the pay gaps and if they looked at, are we participating in these problems across national teams? Are we not paying people the same? And they have, brought those all together. Because remember, it used to be back in the day that the men would get paid more than the women's national team. That used to be a thing in the United States in the modern era, you guys, until Lily took over, in fact. So yeah, and yeah, the other thing about this is a little weird is like part of this picking Indiana was part of they don't want to lose the institutional knowledge of the staff because this is also going to be the USAG headquarters. And on the one hand, I understand that because yeah, you don't know if everybody will move their whole lives to another state. Yeah. On the other hand, especially if this is going to be a place where you're, having a lot of competitions, but I do think that there are some things they need to drop about having to live in Indiana. Like if they want a really good person to replace Lily, there's no way that person should have to live in Indiana because you're never going to be at work. You're going to be in the office in Indiana like 2 days a month. So that person should be able to live wherever they want because they travel constantly. And in fact, it would probably be easier for them to be in one of the big hubs like Atlanta, New York, San Francisco. Anyway, those are my feelings about it. But I am horrified that they have chosen this state. And I know that the people are not the state government, but I would hope that they would advocate for changing these laws or that they have a helicopter on standby with an unmarked tail that can just take off and take people to a state where they can get their gender affirming care without restriction, or they can have, the help they need for reproductive health at any time. Okay. World's teams taking shape. Let's go into this in more depth and detail. Let's talk about the independent athletes who live in Russia who are competing that are just on the boobity boop asterisks. These are our nominative.
Yeah, it's just an asterisk right now.
Yeah.
But I would imagine the women's team will be, and this is what's announced. But it's technically an asterisk still, I guess. Angelina Melnikova, Anna Kolmikova, Ludmila Rashina, and Leila Vasilyeva for the women's independent Russias, which, once again, as I mentioned, who doesn't do bars? I have some questions about how you divide the events and who's doing what, and is Melnikova in for the all around, or are they saying not yet? I don't know.
The other interesting thing that has happened as part of this Russia being brought back into the fold, although not able to use the name Russia, is that there are a lot of the men's Olympic team who, of course, are still banned because they bought a weapon for the Russian military to use against Ukraine. But some of those athletes have now been named as federation heads. So federation heads are not banned from traveling they can't compete, but they can go to Worlds and be part of all the stuff. So there's that.
Yeah.
It's a shocking surprise no one saw coming. Swiss team, anybody standing out for you?
Well, we liked Lena Bickel on beam at the World Cup, so that's exciting to see on the Swiss team. We talked about the British team. We talked about the French team. If you want to know our thoughts on the Chinese team, which are positive, we talked about that on Behind the Scenes.
Shout out to Nicole, who choreographed that Lena Bickel routine. The British team we discussed.
We discussed the British team. In Canadian elite news, other than only having 2 women on the nominative roster, Rose Wu, veteran from Canada, officially announced her retirement. One of our always favorites to watch.
Rose Wu, always doing the most with her Instagram channel as well. I'm just like, why hasn't she been recruited to her NIL would be going off. That's what I'm saying.
Also, one of those I found is looking for GIF examples of certain skills. I find myself continuing to go for doing the clickable coda points on the balance beam situation. I find myself consistently going to Rose Wu's routines to find skills. And that's something that's standing out to me right now. I'm like, people who are doing things that not everyone else is doing and doing them in a way that's a good example of what that skill is supposed to look like. Rose Wu.
Former Italian rhythmic gymnastics coaches on trial. We covered this before, but Emanuela Macarani. She was the former coach of Italy's rhythmic gymnastics team. She's going on trial next year, accused of bullying the athletes. So this is kind of a big deal because there hasn't been something like this go to court. We've had lawsuits. We haven't had something go to court, except for there was a recent case like this in Britain, but a different Olympic sport. Taryn Humphrey popularized the wolf turn, and now she is suing her landlord. Won 2 silver medals at the 2004 Olympics, and now in Overland Park, she's suing her landlord, claiming it derailed her plans to open a training facility and caused financial damage. So, see how that goes. Next up, let's talk to Sho Nakamori, who is gymnast, brevet judge, and beloved member of the gymnastics community.
I will tell the people about Sho's beautiful form and special connection to Japanese gymnastics as the son of the Japanese national team member. Sho also worked with Elliot Schwartz on the International Scoring Data Project as part of the USOPC analysis for the 2024 Paris Olympics, traveling around the world to gather data for men's gymnastics and figure skating.
So we'll link to that interview and our interview with Elliot Schwartz if you want to find out more about the project that the USOPC did. Let's talk to Sho. You're a brevet judge, and you judge around the world, and you're also often on pommel horse, which means that you're one of the best judges, because everybody knows that's the hardest. I wanted to ask you first about what you think of the changes that are incentivizing all these triples. You were an elite gymnast. You also competed during the dreaded rollout skill incentivization era, which was then taken out of the code because it was too terrifying. So, what do you think about the triple era having lived through the rollout skill era?
Well, first and foremost, I'm glad that the rollout skills are gone. Yes, when you were tired and you were trying to roll out safely, sometimes that didn't quite happen. But yeah, in terms of the new incentivization for the triples, it is a bit scary as a judge. You could, as a former gymnast myself, I know how tired these guys are at the end of the routine. And so for them to be chucking a triple at the very end, pretty risky stuff. I know the FIG is trying to make gymnastics a little bit more exciting for the audience, but yeah, I'm kind of on the fence about this. It is a bit scary for sure.
There are some changes in the P-bars code. And we were talking about this earlier, and we were talking about how this kind of is related to how the FIG had the scale. They added the scale rule on floor and then sort of took it away. Because like here, gymnasts just aren't used to doing the scale. So it was like kind of shocking coming from the era of beautiful men's gymnastics with, Nemov doing a perfect scale, Tong Fei's artistry, and then seeing like this new generation that's like a scale. I can't do that. Were you trained to?
I actually just did a video with Ian Gunther on the scale.
Your scales were good. I watched it.
Thank you. Thanks. But yes, I do come from the era of scales, so I think it requires, a little bit more the hip rotation, and if you're not working on that from a young age, I think it is a little bit tougher. But yeah, no, totally. I think the only difference, and I see this from a judge's perspective now, is like we're more stringent on the time held. Before, you kind of showed your scale. It wasn't like a super strict 1, 2. Now if you're like less than 2 seconds, it's a pretty heavy deduction. So it's a really tricky and scary skill for these guys right now.
And tell me about the P-bar's upper arm skills, and it's sort of a parallel to the not having trained the basics.
Yeah, so a lot of the upper arm catch skills have been upgraded, and those skills were actually really big when I was young or when I was competing. In fact, it was big when I was kind of a teenager, so I started doing them at a pretty young age.
Is that like middle school or like grade school you were doing them?
I was probably like 11, 12. In fact, I believe I was one of the first ones to do a giant double back to upper arm catch as a level 3 or as a class 3. It went backwards before, so class 1 was the highest level, the current level 10s. But anyway, yeah, I was one of the youngest guys to do that. I was only like 12, didn't really have the body build to do it, but I kept chucking it. Luckily, these days, they have banned those skills for juniors because they've learned and they now understand that it's actually not great for your body as young kids to do them. But yeah, now that we're seeing we have that rule in place, it seems like it's harder for the current seniors to kind of learn that skill quickly because they don't have that base as a junior. So it's a little interesting situation.
We've talked a lot about judging over the years, and I remember the very first time we interviewed you, which must have been like 12 years ago. We talked a lot about how judging. Yeah, you were an OG. That's right. Me and Uncle Tim went to Stanford and interviewed you.
That's right.
Yeah, we watched him meet and then hung out in a classroom.
I remember this.
Yeah. You've always had like another career and been a judge, another career and been a gymnast. And I wanted to ask you now, like, how is it for you being this high level judge that's sent around the world? Because I know for a lot of judges, either they have a spouse or partner that supports them because they have to be gone for, a month or 2 a year at these meets. How is it in terms of like keeping yourself financially afloat?
Frankly, at a high level, at least in the United States, it's going to be hard. You can't make a career out of judging, unfortunately. But I know people who have like totally dedicated to their lives to judging. And frankly, I want to know their system. And so I've always had to work. And then, judging is something that I do because it's a passion of mine. And yeah, just, junior meets over the weekend, though, those are good ways to kind of stay connected and give back. But yeah, certainly it's not like a full-time thing either. We have seasons, and definitely cannot make a living off of just judging. Super, super hard.
Yeah. I would love to see that change in the US. I don't know if you've seen the glasses that are being used by the soccer referees in the FIFA, or I don't know if it's FIFA or I can't keep up with all the soccers. There's so many, the Diamond League or whatever. But basically they're wearing glasses that have like a 4K or maybe it's 8K camera on the side. So in real time, they can show in the arena, if there's a flag, they can show exactly what the referee saw.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
It's so cool, and it exists, and it's and also like it's you see what they see, and also the soccer, it's a big giant field with a lot of moving parts, and the video is so clear and it's so impressive. What do you feel about the idea of you as a judge wearing that so that we could have a real-time view of the scoring and what you see from the judge's angle?
I really like that because sometimes as judges we get heat, like after the fact, on a recorded thing, the internet's like, oh, how did they get that deduction, or like how did they get so low? And I'm like, well, like you're seeing it at a completely different angle. We're seeing it from down here. We might be able to see more, that type of thing. So actually, I think that may like bring the fans and the judges together or closer in a way, more in agreement potentially. But yeah, I think that would be a pretty neat thing that we could hopefully implement in the future.
Yeah, I think it'd be really cool. So you have always had the entrepreneurial spirit since your, elite days and your Stanford days. You had your show brand, and you've always been doing something on the side. So now you have opened your own gym. So tell me about the gym.
It's called Infinite Sports. Yeah, so it's been something that I've been working for maybe the past year. It's a neighborhood gym focused on growing the love of the sport at a grassroots level. It's rec only, and really the focus is just the non-competitive benefits of the sport, which, includes getting stronger, more flexible, getting more confident. So yeah, basically, my genuine hope is that anybody, coming through will learn how to move better, and hopefully that brings them joy and happiness.
I love that. I love that there are gyms like this, and I know it's going to be like good technique and safe because you're running it. Because sometimes I see these gyms and I'm like, oh my god, yeah. And also okay, this is my other pitch for you because I love to give you all my ideas.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I feel like the pitch for gymnastics is learn how to fall for life without getting hurt.
That's right, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, I guess like as competitive gymnasts, we're always told not to put your arms down or like put your arms back because that's where when you hurt your wrist or like elbows. But yeah, I definitely want to take those lessons and kind of part them onto even recreational athletes. That's super important. So
if I'm in San Francisco or the Bay Area, where are you? How fast can we get to you?
I'm in San Mateo. It's about 7 minutes south of the airport. So super close, super accessible, right off the 101. So hopefully I'll get a nice big sign soon. We'll see.
At the recent Brazilian championships, the men and women not only competed at the same time, but they shared apparatus and alternated. So there'd be like a junior floor routine, and then Caio Souza went after.
Oh, wow.
Have you ever competed in a meet like that? Did you ever like the mixed cups, or what do you think of how would it have been as a gymnast or as a judge sharing the space doing a meet like that?
Yeah, I think that's pretty common in like Japan where they do like co-ed at the same time. But I've never heard of like actually weaving in different levels of athletes. That does sound really interesting. I hope that the judging panels were different because it would be hard to like switch your judging mind from like judging juniors to seniors. But yeah, I think that's great for the athletes, especially the younger guys, to be able to look up and be competing next to an Olympian or, world championship athlete. So
yeah. My dream for you is to judge that meet in Japan. That's that senior. I don't know what it's called. You, of course, probably know what it's called. It's always September, and it's the one that's an adult like masters meet, but also has the elite.
Yeah, it's basically anyone after college. So there's like different divisions. I think they're split by like decades even. Super cool. Yeah, that's total gymnastics for life type of thing.
Yep, like Japan and Germany, I feel like have that down. I asked because Kohei's mom competes in that meet.
That's right.
And I have a friend who from Japan that she used to go and compete in that meet too. So I asked Kohei at like his last Worlds, like, "Oh, will you compete when you retire? Will you compete in this meet with your mom?" And he was just like, "What? No."
I'm good.
Like,
Yeah.
Absolutely not. I was like, "But this is my dream, Kohei. Oh, you have your own dream, so that's fine."
Yep, Kohei versus his mom.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yep.
They could do a joint routine together. How adorable would that be?
That would be awesome. God.
Thanks so much to Sho for being here. It's always a pleasure talking to Sho. And remember, you can find his new gym at infinitesportsgym.com. This week, we have Friday. We will see you for Behind the Scenes. And boy, do I have stories for you guys on Behind the Scenes at noon Pacific or 8 GMT, because nothing ever happens when I travel. Everything's totally fine. Yeah. Nothing happens. I have a story to tell you about when some people appeared out of nowhere, flashed guns, and rescued me and my family from a situation. Yeah, that's what I was also like, what's happening right now? So, and it was a great trip. I had an amazing time. So I have so many stories to tell you guys about. So then after we talk on Behind the Scenes on Friday, then we have the Sambate World Cup, which you can watch on FIG TV. And hopefully Ollie and Blythe will be commentating that on September 26th to 28th, which will be Flavia is there. Then
also
we have
Italian nationals.
Oh yeah,
this weekend.
Italian nationals.
Manila Esposito is slated for only beam.
That's all she needs to do. She can be world champion. Don't make her do anything else. But if she doesn't go for worlds, I might die. You'd be a world so bad. Then we have September 30th through October 1st as the U.S. Women's Selection Camp. So remember, we are going to talk about the second day of competition, of the overall competition, 10 a.m. on October 1st. And then after the team's announced, we'll have a regular behind the scenes on Friday, and we'll talk about that. Remember, you have our discussion of the Chinese world team in depth and why it's the perfect team ever. And China understands the assignment about the individual world championships, and they did everything right and can please everyone do exactly what China did. Discussion that it should be in your feed from last week when we got that news. And until Friday, when I tell you all about the shocking rescue out of nowhere on the streets of San Francisco, please remember to take up on gay, split on rights. We'll see you on Friday for Behind the Scenes. Thank you for your support, and thank you for listening.